Hello, welcome to everyone. In the previous class, we studied the applications of Ampere's law. We applied Ampere's law for the long straight wire, and for the solenoid, we also applied the Ampere's law for toroid as well. Okay. In this lecture, let us try to study the energy and force of the magnetic field. The outline of the lecture is as follows. You can see the outline on the slide. First of all, we want to find the energy of the magnetic field or energy density of the magnetic field. Next, we want to find the force acting on a current carrying conductor. Next, we want to find the force acting between two parallel conductors. Next, we will try to find the torque acting on a rectangular coil. Okay? Right. Now let us go for the first problem, that is energy density of the energy density of the magnetic field. Energy density of the magnetic field. Okay, now you can see the slide. In that slide there are two devices, in one of which you can store the electric energy. In the other device you can store the magnetic energy. Okay, in all the oscillatory circuits you have these two devices. Okay, one is capacitor, other is the inductor. Inductor is nothing but a coil, right? In this coil we store the magnetic energy. Okay, suppose that you are taking a fully charged capacitor. See, when you connect that capacitor to the two ends of the inductor, then what happens? The charge inside of the capacitor will flow through the inductor. The charge inside of the conductor will flow through the inductor. That means current flows through the inductor. Okay. Then the work done in sending the current through the inductor will be stored as a magnetic energy inside of the inductor. So what happens here in this circuit? In oscillatory manner, electric energy changes into the magnetic energy, then magnetic energy changes into the electrostatic energy. Okay, we already know the expression for the energy density of the electric field. Okay, use electrostatic energy density is half epsilon naught E square. We know that, we are already derived. Now let us try to derive the similar expression for the magnetic field. This much of energy is stored inside the capacitor. So magnetic energy per unit volume of the capacitor. Okay, what about magnetic energy density? Wherever there is a magnetic field, then you have magnetic energy. U magnetic is equal to, or you say UB. Why U? Just write B. Why? Because it depends on B. 1 by 2 mu naught B square. Now we have to derive this expression. We have to derive this expression by using the magnetic field of the solenoid. Magnetic field inside the solenoid, by using the expression for the magnetic field inside the solenoid. Okay. Now let us consider a solenoid of length L and area A. Okay, length L and area A. Now the energy. Now, first of all, let us take field. Magnetic field. Induced magnetic field is equal to mu naught Ni. See, I is the current flowing through the inductor. Mu naught Ni. Okay? Yeah. We consider the solenoid of length L and area A. How many turns are there? Let us take the number of turns to be L. Let the number of turns to be N. Okay. Right? When you expand this, what happens here? You may also write this as mu naught. N means N is equal to N by L. You may write like this. N by L. Okay. If you write here, okay, otherwise I will write here. See, what is being magnetic, induced magnetic field inside solenoid? Mu naught Ni. You may write the definition of N here, N by L, I. Yeah, now let us write the definition of B in terms of flux. B is equal to phi A. Okay. B is equal to phi A. See, what is the total area of all turns? Say this is a M A. Now, phi N A is equal to mu naught N by L I. Phi is the total flux. Okay, now this flux phi is equal to mu naught N square I A by L. Right here. Yeah, phi is equal to mu naught N by L I, that means N square A. I am multiplying this Na on this side. Now, yeah, this flux is proportional to the current. Okay, that's why I will write I here, Li here. L is a proportionality constant, which we call as a coefficient of self-induction. Mu naught N square L I E A. Okay, because half Li square is the energy of the magnetic field. On this side, let us make it half Li square. Okay. On this side also I am writing half. On this side also I am multiplying with I. Right. Now half Li square is equal to mu naught. Okay, and here we have L. We multiply with L here and here also. Okay, N square I square by L square A L. So half Li square is equal to this much. This is what the energy of the magnetic field is equal to. Okay, half of mu naught. What is this? Small n. N square I square into V. A into L, area into length is equal to volume. Okay. Now to do one thing here also, you multiply with mu naught and divide with mu naught. Now you are having, now you take this V to this side. On this side you have mu naught square n square I square by here. See, this is energy per volume, means energy density of the magnetic field, small u m is equal to 1 by Ni. This is the field inside the solenoid B. So this is B square. So what is our expression for the magnetic energy density? 1 by 2 mu naught B square. It is very or B square by 2 mu naught. It is very much similar to our electric energy density U E is equal to half of epsilon naught E square. Okay, both are very much similar. This is the electric energy density. This is the magnetic energy density. Okay. So it is directly proportional to the B. It is directly proportional to the B square. Okay. Second power of B. These formulas are very similar. All energy density formulas are very similar. If you take the intensity of light formula, that will be proportional to amplitude square, A square. Okay. If it is electric field, then the energy density will be proportional to E square. If it is a magnetic field, its energy density will be proportional to B square. B square. Okay. Square of the magnitude of the magnetic induction vector. Here you have epsilon naught permittivity. Here you have mu naught permeability. Okay, that is what the difference. So inside that coil, you for every 1 unit volume, you have this much magnetic energy. This is what about the magnetic energy density. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Now let us go for the other topic. Yeah. Magnetic force acting on a conductor. Here we are placing a conductor instead of a single charge. Inside the conductor there are so many charges flowing through it. Okay, that you know. Now by using the force acting on a charge, by using the formula for the force acting on a charge in the magnetic field, we derive the magnetic force formula for a conductor. Okay, let us consider a conductor, okay, through which the electrons are flowing. Okay, charge carriers are flowing. Here we are having the magnetic field. You can see that in the slide as well. Suppose that your magnetic field is inside of the board. Okay, your current is flowing like this. That means conductor, suppose that the length of this conductor is L, small l or capital L, whatever it may be. Okay, now what will be the force acting in this conductor, not a single charge carrier. Okay, for that you take just a small element of this length, okay, dl. How much charge will be there in this dl length? Dq charge will be there. Okay, so now let us consider the small part of the conductor. Okay, what we are deriving? Force acting on a conductor placed in a magnetic field. Okay. Now, how much force is acting here? Force acting on dl is force acting on dq charge. Okay, that means df is equal to q dq v cross b, dq v cross b. Okay, now let us write here, this is dq now. Let us write this b as dx means it is a length, na? dl by dt, okay, into b, dl by dt, dl by dt into b. Okay, here dl and b are perpendicular in our case, otherwise we keep as it is. Right, now I will just interchange these two things. Then what happens? dq by dt, dl cross, this is v cross b now, this is df. Okay, dl cross b you have here. But what is this dq by dt? It is a definition of current. So what is the formula for df now? df is equal to I dl cross v. Okay, now if you are considering the entire charge, that means entire conductor, then what about this? F is equal to I, this is L for the entire conductor, this is L cross B. Okay, F is equal to I L cross B. This is the force acting on the conductor of length L. Okay, then how to find the direction of the magnetic force? How to find the direction of the magnetic force? Okay, here you are placing this conductor inside the magnetic field. Here magnetic field may also be in any direction. Okay, we do not bother. Then depending upon the direction of B and DL, then we have the entire force. Okay, entire force. Okay, let us examine this equation. Yeah, whenever this DL and B are perpendicular, then what happens? Maximum force will act. Case 1, otherwise you take theta is equal to 0, otherwise you expand this. You expand this formula first. F is equal to I L B sin theta, where theta is the angle between L and B, where theta is the angle between L and B, that means conductor and the magnetic field. Now case 1, yeah, when theta is equal to 0, that means your wire is along the magnetic field lines. Then what happens? 0. So your force will be I L B 0. This will be 0. No force acts on the conductor. Next, let us go for the case 2, when theta is equal to 90 degrees. Then what happens? Sin 90 is 1. F is equal to, otherwise I will write here. Yeah. When theta is equal to 90, case 2, when theta is equal to 90 degrees, F is equal to I L B Sine 90 is 1. Otherwise, you write one more step. Sine 90 is equal, okay? This is equal to ILB into 1. So F is equal to ILB. In this case, you have F is equal to 0. Yeah, F is equal to 0 in this case. See, this is the minimum force acting on the conductor. This is the maximum force acting on the conductor. So when the maximum magnetic force acts on a conductor, when it is perpendicular to the magnetic field, when the conductor is perpendicular to the magnetic field, then maximum magnetic force will be exerted on it. When the conductor is already in the direction of magnetic field, then no magnetic force at all acts on the conductor. Yeah, okay. This is about the magnetic force and acting on a conductor. Okay. Next, let us go for the other topic. Okay, now we are placing two conductors. That means we are placing one conductor in the induced field of the other conductor. Then what happens? What is the mutual magnetic force will be exerted on each other? What will be the mutual magnetic force exerting on each other? Next, force between two parallel conductors. Force between two parallel conductors. Yeah. Now we take two parallel conductors. Yeah. Suppose that both of them carrying current I. Both of them are carrying current small I. Okay. I. Right. Now, by using the right hand thumb rule, you may say this as 1, designate this as 2. Okay. Now, let us consider first wire as a source. Now, what happens due to the current flowing in this conductor 1, you have magnetic field lines like this. Okay. Suppose that you want to find, you are placing, suppose that, okay, we are placing this conductor 2 in the magnetic field induced by the conductor 1. Okay. Then if you select this line, this as a closed curve, okay, by using the Ampere's law, you can find the magnetic field at conductor 2 due to conductor 1. Okay, what is that? If this is D, distance between them is D, this distance is D, then what happens? This distance is D. See, induced magnetic field due to 1 at the due to conductor 1 at the conductor 2 is how much? You know, you take directly the formula of the infinite state conductor. What is that formula? We reduced in the previous class. B is equal to mu naught I by 2 pi r means 2 pi d. 2 pi d. Okay. Yeah, this much field we have here. Okay. In the place of conductor 2. So what is the external field at the conductor 2? This much. So how much magnetic field will be exerted by this field onto, so force exerted, otherwise I will write here. So yeah, this is conductor 1, this is conductor 2 now. So force exerted by field of conductor 1 on conductor 2 is, now the field of 1 is here at the 2. Okay, this force F is equal to, okay, 1 exerts on the 2. Okay, you may take any notation. 1, this is the force acting on 2 due to 1. Okay, this is F, otherwise you take 2 due to 1, F2 1. Okay, whatever may be your notation. This is a magnetic force acting on the conductor 2. Okay, otherwise simply call this as F2 is acting on second conductor. B, see, the B direction is like a tangent here. The line is here. Conductor is like this. The magnetic field is like this. Okay. Now, the maximum force will be exerted on this because it is 90 degrees. B I L sine 90. This is equal to F2 is equal BIL. Okay. I means, what is this I? I means, say this is I1, say this is I2. Why? Because it is conductor 1, it is conductor 2. Yeah. I2 current is there. In this, here in the formula of B, you have to write now I1. If the current flowing through the conductor 1 is I1. Now substitute for this B here, mu naught I1 by 2 by D. Okay. Mu naught I1. Next I2L. Sin 90 is 1. Sin 90 is 1. Okay. Now, you see here how much you are getting. F2 is equal to mu naught I1 I2 by L. I1 I2 L by 2 pi D. Okay, if you write L on this side, F2 by L is equal to mu naught I1 I2 by 2 pi D. This is a force acting on the unit length of, by L is there, on the unit length of second conductor, that is mu naught I1 I2 by 2 pi. Then what about the field exerted by 2? Field exerted by the magnetic field of 2 on the conductor 1? Then you have to do the similar derivation. Then what is the change here? I will write here side by side. Now let us imagine that we are placing the conductor 1 in the field of conductor 2. Okay. Now you have to calculate F1 now. What changes you have to do? Force acting on 1, conductor 1 due to the magnetic field of conductor 2. Okay. Here B I2 L. Yeah, this is also sin 90. This is equal to, yeah, now what you have to write for this B? This is a field of 2. Okay, this is a field of 1. Field of 1 at the 2. This is the field of 2 at conductor 1. What you have to write here? Mu naught. Instead of I1, you have to write I2. The magnetic field is created by the current in the second conductor, 2 pi d. Next, here, first conductor, now what you have to write here? bi1. bi1L sine 90 is here. Okay, I think it is not. Yeah. Now you see, F1 is equal to B I1 L sine 90. Why? Because this is the force acting on the conductor 1. Now, this F1 is equal to now what you have to write for B now? Here, instead of I1, you have to write I2, because the current in the conductor 2 is responsible for this field at conductor 1, 2 pi d. Instead of I1, I am writing here I2. Instead of I2, here I am writing I1. Okay. So I1 L sine 90 is 1. You need not to write this. So what is your F1 now? Mu naught, again I1 I2 L by 2 pi d. If you write this L on this side, this is equal to mu naught I1 I2 by 2 pi d. So what is F2 by L? This is again mu naught I1 I2 by 2 pi d. So each conductor is exerting the same force on the other conductor per unit length of the other conductor. So the force acting between the two parallel conductors is separated with how much distance? D distance. That is mu naught I1 I2 by 2 pi d. If you increase the distance d, then what happens? This value decreases. If you increase the currents, then what happens? Force acting between the conductors also increases. That we have to know from this formula. Yeah, this formula for the force between two parallel conductors can be used to define the ampere. Okay? How to define ampere here? I will write here. How to define ampere here? Say you make I1 is equal to I2 is equal to I, and D is 1 unit. Okay, 1 unit. Then what happens is these three terms are now disappear. Mu naught by 2 pi. What is mu naught? 4 pi into 10 power minus 7. 2 pi cancel. 2 into 10 power. Then what happens? F by L. Generally we write this is F by L, because F1 by L is equal to what is this? F1. Yeah, F1 by L is equal to F2 by L. F1 by L equal to F2 by L. So that is F by L is equal to mu naught I into I. That means I square by 2 pi. This is 1 unit. Say this I is also 1 unit. Okay, 1 unit. Then what happens? If this is also 1, this is mu naught by 2 pi. This is 4 pi into 10 to the power minus 7. So 2 into 10 power minus 7. Okay. So how much current? 1 unit of current here is responsible for the mutual force 2 into 10 to the power of minus 7 newtons. Okay. Then that quantity of current which is responsible for this much mutual force is known as 1 ampere of the current. 1 ampere of the current. 1 ampere current is able to produce the mutual force between the two conductors of 2 into 10 to the power of minus 7 newtons. Okay, then that quantity of current is known as an ampere. Okay, we use this. That is what the importance of this formula. We may define the ampere, the unit SI unit for the current, by using this formula or these formulas. Okay. This is about the force acting on parallel conductors. Next, let us go for the another topic. Yeah, probably the last one. Okay. Yeah. Next, force acting on a current loop, rectangular current loop. Force acting on a rectangular current loop. Yeah, here one thing you have to um, remember, what is the direction of induced force? Why? Because induced magnetic force acting on the conductor is a cross product. So we have to use the properties of cross product to know the direction of magnetic force acting on the conductors. Whenever there are two conductors, in the earlier case, see, by using the right hand thumb rule, you, you are able to find the direction of magnetic field. Then, by using the formula just now we derived, we will be able to know the magnetic direction of magnetic force. Okay. See this. I am writing that formula. F is equal to I L cross B. No, L cross B. Okay. I L cross B. Otherwise, you may call this as I L cross B also. Okay. Now, this F will be perpendicular to the plane of wire and the magnetic field. Wire and the magnetic field. Okay. So if you may use in this case again general definition of cross product, or you may use Fleming's rule also in this case. Okay, Fleming's rule. If you take your three fingers perpendicular to each other, okay, then if you put the middle finger as a current direction, if you align middle finger along the current direction, and if your forefinger is a field direction, then the force direction will be along this thumb. Okay, you have to stretch these three fingers perpendicular to each other. You have to align this middle finger along the conductor and this forefinger along the magnetic field. Then this thumb direction will be the magnetic force direction. Okay. This is also helpful. Fleming's rule also helpful to find the direction of magnetic force acting on the conductor. Right. Now, here we are taking a rectangular coil. Means how many sides are there? Four sides are there. Four conductors are there. When a coil is placed in the magnetic field, then how much force is acting on each and every side of the coil? Okay. Now we are going to see that. See, in earlier case, whenever the current flows in the same direction in the two parallel wires, then there will be attraction between those two wires. If the currents flowing in those two parallel wires are in reverse direction, that means are in opposite directions, then there will be the repulsion between those two wires. Those two wires. Okay. Here you may use that Fleming's rule to know the direction of the magnetic field. Direction of the magnetic field. Okay. When the current is flowing from bottom to top, then what happens? You put your finger like this. This will be the direction of a magnetic field. Okay, this will be the direction of magnetic field. Then you have to use this IL cross B hmm, to find the force acting on that conductor. Okay. Otherwise, you directly use the Fleming's rule to find the direction of force acting on the parallel conductor. Parallel conductor. Suppose your current is going from bottom to top, then your field is like magnetic force will be acting like this. My thumb acting like this. Okay. These two things are in a single plane. My two fingers are in a single plane. Okay. Next, if you are going for another conductor, there also, see, you have the current direction is the same. Then your field lines are coming like this. Your field lines are coming like this. Okay. In between these two conductors, the force is acting in this direction. So each of the two conductors are mutually attracting each other. If you change the direction of current, then what happens? Here, repulsion between these two conductors takes place. Okay, that you have to know. Next, let us go for the torque acting on a current loop. Torque acting on the current loop. So here also we are using the same formula, force acting on the conductor. Now let us see, you can see that in the slide as well. You see in the slide, see two permanent magnetic poles are there, some uniform magnetic field is there. I am considering uniform magnetic field. Okay, I am placing the loop in the uniform magnetic field. Okay, four sides are there. Okay, if you take the field like this, field lines like this, okay, your coil is like this. Suppose that your coil is like this. Yeah, A B C D, A B C D. Okay, suppose that this is a B and this is length and breadth. Okay, right? This is the length of your coil. Okay, this is the breadth of your coil. Okay, this is L, this is B. One side is L, another side is B. Okay, now these two sides are BC and AD are parallel to the magnetic field. That's why you have sine 0. Okay, otherwise let us write here this external magnetic field is P. Let us say this is B. Okay, now how much force F acting on AB is equal to how much current is flowing through this wire? Say I current. Okay, I. Okay, L means this AB length is also L. Why? Because CD's length is L. L cross B. Okay, now let us go for F BC. This is also I current is flowing. Here this length is B, this is B. Is it correct? Yeah, I L cross B, it is okay. First one is 0 or non-zero, L and B, this much length. This is also L, this is also B. Now, yeah, this L is perpendicular to the magnetic field. L is perpendicular to the magnetic field. That's why you have I, L, B, sine 90. That means ILB force, maximum force, magnetic force. In this case, IBB sine, this side is parallel to the magnetic field, so 0, so you have 0 magnetic force. Similarly, FCD, this line is also perpendicular to this. Okay, so this is I, this is also L, L cross B, so ILB sine 90. So this side also you have maximum force FCD. Why? Because sine 90 is 1. Next, what about the last thing? CD DA. What about FDA? F of DA, it is also of length B. Length of this AD is B, magnetic field is B. So IBB, this line is parallel to this magnetic field. So it is sine 0. So you have 0. So out of 4 sides, you have non-zero force on 2 sides. Okay, right? Yeah. Now, FAB is equal to ILB, and otherwise I will write here non-zero forces. FAB is equal to ILB, and FCD is equal to ILB. Okay, equal forces are acting on these 2 sides and no forces are acting on these 2 sides. So a couple is acting on this. So how much will be the torque? Torque is equal to R cross F. What is this perpendicular distance here? On this side, non-zero force is acting, on this side, non-zero force is acting. But current direction is different. Here current is flowing in this direction, here current is flowing in this direction. Current is flowing in this direction. Field is in this direction. Your force is acting like this. What about this case? Your current is acting like this and your field is acting like this. So this is downwards. This is upwards. This is downwards. This force is acting downwards. One force, these 2 forces are acting in different directions, opposite directions. So 2 forces with equal magnitude and acting in 2 different directions will make you a couple. Both are separated by a non-zero distance B. So how much will be the torque? R cross F means, R means this distance, separation of equal forces. They are equal in magnitude, opposite in direction. Okay, opposite in direction. One is acting upwards, one is acting downwards. Okay, we can know this by using the Fleming's rule. You have to be very cautious while applying the Fleming's rule. Fleming's rule. You have to align these 3 fingers perpendicular to each other. Then you have to align this in the middle finger in the direction of current, this finger in the direction of field. Now this is showing upwards. Here you have downward direction for the force. Yeah, so this is B, perpendicular distance. Then what is the equal force? ILB. So this is equal to IBL into B. B into L means L into B is the area. So IAB. Okay. If you are having n turns, then what happens to your torque? IAB A, B, N. This will be the total torque acting on the rectangular coil. Rectangular coil. Okay, right. Yeah, in this way, whenever you place a rectangular coil in the external uniform magnetic field, okay, a couple acts on that rectangular coil. That's why the coil rotates. Rectangular coil rotates. Why? Because couple is acting. Okay, on one side of that rectangular coil, force is acting in one direction, on the other side in opposite direction. That's why rotation takes place in the coil. So then what is the torque? Torque is equal to BIAN. Maximum torque that is available here is BIAN. It is proportional to the magnetic induction, external magnetic induction. It is proportional to the number of turns. It is proportional to the area of the coil. It is proportional to the current flowing through that coil. Okay. If you send more current, more rotation takes place. Okay. This we will use later in measuring the current. Okay. Okay. Let us stop with this. Thank you.